Then they got up and started dancing in a very immoral way. This continues on from what we were speaking about previously in relation to the golden calf and the kind of worship that was carried on by the children of Israel in idolatry, while Moses was up on the mountain receiving the tablets of the covenant that he broke by throwing onto the ground, because Israel had already broken the covenant. We see these words in Exodus 32, verse 6, and it continues on from when Aaron, at their request and in guilt, listened to them and used an engraving tool and made a molten calf. And they said, "These be your gods, O Israel, which brought you up out of the land of Egypt." And it says in verse 6 of Exodus 32, "And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink, and rose up to play." What does it mean to play? Well, we find out what it really does mean to play. To start off with is to make a toy. And in different translations that differ somewhat from the King James Version that says they rose up to play, here's another one. They gave themselves pleasure, or they had games, or they rose up to revel. T4T, which is the translation by the scholars who go out to the different tribes of the world and write down the language that they hear, and then translate the Greek or the King James Version or whatever they use into that language. Now, they are very accurate when it comes to translations and languages. They are brilliant scholars. And this is what they say it means. Then they got up and started dancing in a very immoral way. Clark, a brilliant Methodist commentator who knew 10 or 11 languages and was in prominence in the early Methodists after John Wesley, Charles Wesley, and Fletcher. Then came Clark. This is what he says. "A word of ominous import, which seems to imply fornication and adulterous intercourse." And in some areas today, the word is still used in this sense. That was 200 or 300 years ago. Another translation, which gives a comment by Gill, a famous Baptist commentator, says, "To sing and dance as by the Egyptians in worship of Aspis, a god." Philo says that the calf was a god that was an imitation of the Egyptian Typho, Typho, actually Osiris. It was idolatry. And Philo says it involved lewdness, fornication, as in the worship of Peor, P-E-O-R. Now that brings to mind a similar worship scene in our modern society. The first rock concerts that were drug infused and full of sex. Because music is used to stir the emotions to act according to what the words of the music say, or according to the emotional response from people. So Aaron had said on that day, "Tear off the golden ornaments in the ears. Tear them off. Pull them off. Doesn't matter if you cause blood to flow. Tear them off your wives and sons and daughters, and bring them to me. That's in Exodus 32, 3 and 4. Now the Syriac translations and the Septuagint say, bring them, that it means in a bag. So the calf was created and built by Aaron of wood, covered with gold. And so it was able to be powdered later on. Hengstenberg says it was a young bull copied from the Egyptian Apis, an image of the Lord that called it such in Psalm 106. It was in the same manner in which the Egyptians celebrated according to their religion. It was really apostasy, whereby Israel had broken the covenant with the Lord and fallen back to the heathen customs of Egypt. And Aaron also was guilty. What he did was to cast the gold in flat metal. Tear off the golden ornaments in the ears. Tear them off. Pull them off. Doesn't matter if you cause blood to flow.